Hello, we have with us Arundhati Bhattacharya, Chairperson and CEO of Salesforce India. Ma'am, it's wonderful speaking to you as always. Many thanks for speaking to PTI.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
The last time we met, you mentioned that India is a bright spot for Salesforce globally. How is Salesforce growing in India since then? And how does the market here compare to other markets, other big markets in terms of growth?
So in terms of growth, we are growing very well over here. If you consider the fact that within Salesforce, we've been the fastest growing OU. So to that extent, I think growth rate wise, we are seeing the same kind of speed of growth that we are seeing for the entire economy. If you consider the rate of increase of our GDP and compare it with the GDP of most other countries, we are seeing about 3x growth there or 2.5x growth there. We have similar comparisons in Salesforce as well.
Like you mentioned, India is growing at a time when other big markets are perhaps stressed. What are the sentiments, so far as India Inc. is concerned, when they play in this market? How are the sentiments right now? Are we on a strong footing? Are we on a positive footing?
I would say we are on a very positive footing. I think India Inc. basically is also, if you look at business confidence wise at this point of time, I think they're quite confident regarding the growth that they see going forward. In respect of IT and the digital transformative initiatives, it's been on board agendas and in the minds of the C-suite for quite some time. What is happening right now, I think it's gaining some more urgency than before. I think the advent of generative AI has brought home to a number of companies the need to speed up their digital transformation, and we are seeing that reflected in our conversations with the various organizations.
Let's come to the latest announcements. You have unveiled a Made for India digital lending product. Why a separate product tailored to Indian needs? Are you talking to banks and financial institutions? What is the initial feedback from them?
So we are talking to banks and financial institutions. In fact, it's with their feedback that we have created this initiative. The Indian market is different from other markets. Like I was explaining earlier, if you look at the mortgage product in India, the mortgage product in India is based on the ability to repay. It is not based on the value of the property. The value of the property is considered, but it's collateral. It's not the primary basis on which the quantum of loan is decided. Whereas in many other markets, it's the value of the property that decides the quantum of loan. So, if you look at a product, it's a very different product. Similarly, if you go into the insurance market, in the insurance market in India, we have what is part investment and part insurance. Again, in most of the developed markets, insurance is a pure protection product. There is no investment element involved in it. So there are many features to products in India which are not replicated in the foreign market. I think, for instance, the concept of an SIP, the SIP as we call it, is again very Indian. The fact that you can make very little amounts of investments into the market at regular intervals, I don't know whether it was piloted out of India, but it's a very, very Indian kind of a product. Okay, so there are many other things, including the fact that we have today in India the public digital stack, which provides us with the basis for, say, KYC, which provides us with a lot of data and the capability of doing very quick payments. There are various other pieces of the India stack that can be used very well. So connectivity to all of this is also required where the Indian financial system is concerned. So therefore, we did feel the need to have a product that would incorporate many of these features. And we do believe that we are not alone in the world. There are other countries that have similar products, similar needs, and by doing it with the focus for this kind of a market and this kind of a product, we expect to be able to then replicate it in other countries and other similar countries.
Would we see that going forward as well, where India being a big market, you could actually make the products for India and then take them elsewhere, similar markets with the need for similar products?
Yeah, of course. I think that is absolutely the case. You can think of other products also which are very different in India. The dealer management system, for instance, in India has many more tiers than in many other developed markets. So that's something that we could think about, which could be made as a India focused product and thereafter taken to other more populous countries. Again, there are several other areas where India has distinct differences from the products the way they are purveyed in the Western world or in the developed world. And we would definitely like to work on them. Of course, there is also a question of ensuring that there is a proper prioritization. Even our teams need to prioritize what they are going to put up first. But our requirements that we are seeing over here are also reflected in many other markets, and therefore we are all getting together to try to make sure that we get products that are fit for India and fit for India business.
Tell us about Salesforce's plans for public sector. You have announced a public sector division. How is the technology adoption in government entities right now?
So government entities actually are not very behind in technology adoption. However, they have not gone in for too much of cloud solutions or SaaS platforms. Most of the companies, they have what they need on-prem systems. However, with the advent of generative AI, what is being understood is that the companies will need to now handle a huge quantum of data. And to have compute and storage capacity of that extent would need a lot of capital, capital investment. And probably it's a more agile and nimble way to do it from the cloud, as has been the case in the rest of the world. And therefore, we are seeing more of a propensity for looking at solutions that are cloud-based. And as you know, Salesforce is basically a cloud-native company. None of our products or solutions are on-prem, excepting for solutions like Tableau, which is a graphic analytics solution, or MuleSoft, which is an integration layer. Those can be on-prem, but the rest of Salesforce, most of it is cloud-based. So to that extent, we are seeing more openness about adopting these products. We also are able to make people understand that the security norms that we follow, they are as per requirement, that there is no compromise on the security, on the privacy of data, that we are fully compliant with the local laws over here. And being able to convince people that we are that is definitely making them more interested in our products. Public sector, as you know, is one of the largest players in India. In most of the core sectors, whether it be finance, whether it be roads, whether it be the transport sector such as railways, whether it be your areas such as housing, areas such as power or transmission of power, the public sector is a very big player. This is over and above the fact that there is a lot of citizen services that the states as well as the center provides. So there is a huge digital play over there, which at this point of time, I think, while the government has taken it up very, very seriously, but there is still lots that can be done. And we would definitely like to be part of the solution.
IT Minister Mr. Ashwini Vaishnav the other day talked about the fact that government will soon come out with rules, and he said that the drafting is already in the works, drafting of rules for digital personal data protection. How is it going to change the rules of the game for companies that process, handle, even host personal data, and what are the implications for businesses?
So the hosting of the data wherever it resides on our platform, it's all in India. So we are already compliant with that, and we are compliant with the GDPR regulations, which are also very stringent. We do not expect that the Indian regulations will be more stringent to that. And if we can be compliant to GDPR, we are sure we can be compliant to whatever India comes out as its rules and regulations. At the end of the day, if you need to play in a country, you have to play by its rules. So there might be some places where we might need to make changes. I'm sure the government will give us a roadmap and a timeline to ensure that we are 100% compliant if we are not already so. And to that extent, I don't see it making much of a difference, excepting for the fact that, well, there might be a few more requirements that we will need to meet, but we will definitely cross the bridge when we come to it. We do not see that as an obstacle for us, going ahead and improving our business in India.
How do you view Salesforce's journey in India so far? And what is your vision for this business? In your leadership role, what outcomes are you targeting for Salesforce in India?
So I'm quite happy with the journey, actually. We were about 2,000 people, 2,500 people when I joined. And today, we are 12,000 plus, it's not including, that's only full-time employees, not including the contract employees, which is quite a lot. So we really have grown almost 4x in 4 years, which is saying a lot. And I'm happy that we have been able to showcase the talent of India, the deep pool of talent that we possess, that we've been able to bring in very high quality jobs into India, that India is now considered as integral to the quality of delivery that we make out of Salesforce. We've also developed a very vibrant ecosystem. There was a resources crunch for Salesforce talent in India. We've worked assiduously both with the government as well as with the private sector in order to close that gap, to ensure that there is enough skilling on our requirements to be able to provide the best of resources to everybody, whoever is interested. So you will find a lot of Salesforce implementation centers of even the global system integrators sitting out of India. Much of the things can be done remotely these days, and they are done remotely out of India. So to that extent, I'm very happy with the way the ecosystem has grown. Today, out of I think around 20 million trailblazers, as we call them, which are a community of people who are passionate about Salesforce. They're not necessarily employees or customers, but they are just the developers community. We have about 2 million of those developers here in India. We have about 21,000 communities, who have sort of formed within various parts of the country that bring these trailblazers together for events, for simply brainstorming, developing on the Salesforce platform. There's a whole startup community also that develops on the Salesforce platform. So we are very happy the way things are progressing. We are seeing more and more of applications that are now coming into our store. We call it the App Exchange, that's coming in on App Exchange. Most of these applications might be plugging some gap or the other for some industries in the Salesforce solutions. And to that extent, there is a lot more creation of the ecosystem around the entire Salesforce story. We already talked about the IDC survey that said that the Salesforce ecosystem would create about 1.8 million jobs by the year 2028. It would create an additional 88.6 billion of revenues for everybody, direct and indirect. And that's something that excites us. Means I would love to have, that would be my vision. I want to adopt that as my vision and say that yes, we are going to do this because it's something that's good for the country, it's good for the company, it's good for the people that we serve.
On that note, I wanted to ask you, which are the big bets that Salesforce is taking in India, and what is the runway for growth? You've come a long way, like you mentioned. Which are the verticals, which are the industries that are going to yield huge growth for you going forward?
So, in every country, we have always found that the BFSI segment, the financial segment, is normally the most digitized, the most mature in digital initiatives, and the fastest to adopt Okay, so the BFSI segment remains very, very important to us. Similarly, we are also finding a lot of traction in the retail segment. There is quite a bit of traction in areas like healthcare as well as in education. Manufacturing is another area that's just sort of really coming up in India. Today we are realizing that we had skipped the manufacturing stage, but we need to have manufacturing in the country. So manufacturing is also very much part of the story. In fact, we just had a round table, a small luncheon for the people who are attending this event, and we had every kind of industry at the table. So starting from realty to healthcare to core industry like steel to retail to aviation, we had all kinds of industries at the table. So I won't say that there is one sector or the other which will help us grow. All of them will help us grow, but out of that the standouts definitely are BFSI, retail, manufacturing, healthcare, auto. Auto is another standout sector for us. Even the EV platforms, we are working with a lot of the EV companies. So these are all standout sectors for us.
You have been a keen observer of the economy and a noted banker. I therefore want to ask you, the full budget is just around the corner with a coalition government in place. What, according to you, should be the big focus and priority areas for India at this point?
So I think the priority area has to be job creation. Okay, and for job creation, what you need to do is to ensure ease of doing business. I know India has gone up quite a few rungs in ease of doing business, but there is more that can be done. Okay, we need to ensure that we really and truly make people wanting to do business in India easier for them to do so. And there are again several steps that can be taken, starting from single point clearances to ensuring that we go up on things like the corruption index, which mean a lot more due diligence for companies coming into India and which could actually delay manufacturing coming more into India. We need to do a lot more in order to ensure that the compliances that we are asking for, that they are consistent. It's very important to be consistent or to at least indicate a regulatory roadmap. Very, countries that change requirements very frequently, it becomes very difficult for companies to keep up with that. They don't mind a huge amount of compliances, but there needs to be a roadmap towards it. And it needs to be something that is consistent with the policies that are laid out in the very beginning. So I think, the job creation and ease of doing business should be the two major points, including, of course, the infrastructure investment, which the government already indicated in the earlier budget. So I think that probably should be the fulcrum around which the budget should revolve.
And do you agree that the growth rates are going to be very robust for FY25, seeing some of the projections as they've come?
Yeah, I do agree that it not only appears, I think I'm convinced that they will be robust. At the end of the day, you've got to remember that there is a pressure of demography that no other country has, but which India has. With a population as young as ours, with so many people entering the work stream, the very sheer weight of that is going to help us grow quite rapidly. And therefore, the numbers that are being projected, I'm in line with them.
Let's switch track a bit. I want to ask you how you define leadership and what is your advice to young leaders, particularly women leaders?
So defining of leadership can be different in different situations. Leadership during stable times and leadership during crisis times can actually be very, very different. But overall, if you ask me what is a leader is somebody who enables their team to really come up to potential. That's leadership. Leadership is not doing everything yourself. Leadership is recognizing talent, ensuring that you have the vision, that you're able to set the goal, and then allow people to come up to potential and reach that goal. Leadership is being able to spot the talent for the right jobs, for the right people. That's leadership. And as for women talent and women leadership, my advice only is that it is important for women to hang in there. The situation sometimes can get pretty difficult, given the fact that women very often have a double role, both as a primary caretaker and as a business leader. It can get difficult. Going can get tough, but it won't be tough forever. All of this is cyclical. It'll be tough for some time and then it'll ease up. You just need to hang in there when things get tough, and you cannot give up. If you give up, then well, the game is over. And giving up is actually very, very easy. Sometimes you may need to, in spite of everything, but it should be the last option. So my request, in fact, for all women who are in careers is that you are in a career, you are not in a job. So treat it like a career and just hang in there.
Last time you had mentioned about the need for more women in corporate boardrooms. Has the situation changed for better, or do we still have a long way to go?
I think we still have a long way to go. And very often what happens is, I also get consulted by a lot of companies regarding who they can take on the board, which of the women leaders. The issue is they all want C-suite, ex-C-suite women. Now, as you know, in any case, there are not that many women in the C-suites in India. It will happen. Over a period of time, it will happen. At this point of time, not that many have been to C-suites. So I would always try and tell these boards that going for people who are C-suite -1. Let them prove themselves through the contribution they make at the board. Why do you want to judge them by the position that they have been in? Even if they have not been in that position on account of the fact that they may have taken breaks in their career, they may have joined late after childbearing. There are so many reasons why women have not been able to get into the C-suites. But their contribution has not been any less. So take them on the board, try them out. You know, at the end of it all, if it doesn't work out, you can always request that they leave. But they need some opportunities. And it's important for companies to give them that opportunities. Wherever companies have believed in me and given them those opportunities, not one of them has come back and expressed any kind of disappointment. In fact, those same women have been taken in many more companies by the same, conglomerate. And this has happened over and over wherever they have believed me. So I think it's important for companies also to lighten up a little, to ease up a little on the requirements that they have of only taking ex-C-suite women.
And expand the funnel.
Yes, expand the funnel. There are many women that are interested and they will make good contribution.
Do you think the qualities needed, the qualities of global leaders have changed somewhat, has changed somewhat as they navigate this new age world, futuristic technologies, AI, global stress, geopolitical risks, a new age workforce? Do you think the kind of leaders we see now are different from what we had seen, let's say, 10, 20 years back?
Yes, I do think so. I do think it's not the quality, it's just the way the leaders are. Probably they need to deal with much more uncertainty than they had to in the past. It's difficult at this point of time. With hindsight, you feel that the uncertainties today are far greater. The VUCA world that we used to talk about in seminars is what we are living in. There are so many crises and global crises that happen one after the other. Like, who would have imagined something like COVID, and then immediately after COVID to have something like the Russian-Ukrainian war, and then again the war in the Middle East, and then again an AI disruption such as generative AI. It's like one crisis after the other coming hot on the heels of each other. And for leadership to be able to handle all of this does need different qualities from the leadership that was there maybe 40, 50, 60 years back. So yes, the quality of leadership has changed, but it has changed in tune with the requirements of the age.
No conversation is complete without AI. So let me ask you this. AI is dominating all the entire narrative and indeed business plans of companies. How do you look at AI and LLM-led world? And do you worry about the race towards AI and the dangers associated with it?
So, AI is like any other tool. You can use it for good purposes, you can use it for bad. And therefore, one needs to be careful. I'm not scared, but I would definitely recommend caution. I would definitely recommend that we are careful about what we do with AI and how we do it. Okay, because in the wrong hands, it can actually be quite harmful. Having said that, in a country like India, I think AI is a blessing. Without the kind of technology that we are bringing in through AI right now, India, being the numbers it is in the way of population, would never be able to deliver the quality of services that is required in order to raise the standards of living of people. Okay, whether it be diagnostics of medical needs, whether it be personalized education, whether it be skilling imperatives, whether it be ensuring that every part of the country is receiving the services that it deserves. None of this would be possible without AI or without technology. So to that extent, in today's day and world, where every enterprise is sustainable only if it has a strong technology backbone, I think India is blessed in a way that it really needs this. It doesn't have any paucity of manpower, but what it needs is the technology for us to enable each of those people to reach up to their potential. And to do that in the brick and mortar way is very, very difficult. We just cannot, we do not have the bandwidth to do that. And it is very costly as well if you use totally people in order to deliver all of these things. So if AI can deliver the first layer of it, if AI can give us the ability to determine what exactly a person needs and to ensure that there's a fair distribution of all that we need to give to these people in order to help them beat poverty, to come up and start living up to their potential, it would be a great step forward. And therefore, I believe, at least in rendering of services to citizens, this is something that will be a game changer.
And what about the guardrails and regulations for AI?
So the guardrails and regulations for AI at this point of time, it is more self-regulated. But I think there needs to be a global compact on this as well. This is not something that's going to remain enclosed within the borders of a country. It is something that will, impact people globally. Just as climate is no respecter of country borders, so also AI is not going to be a respecter of the borders of a country. It will need a global compact. It will need people to agree that there are possible ways that AI can be used that would be harmful for mankind. They would need to come together and have some kind of an understanding to ensure that we use this tool for the betterment of mankind and not in a wrong way.
And finally, what lies ahead for Arundhati Bhattacharya?
Only time can tell.
Well said. Thank you so much for speaking to PTI.
Thank you.